have the power within you to lift somebody up, to make somebody feel better by your smile, by talking to them at lunch, by sharing a snack because they didn't have anything to eat, by the micro little, talking to your bus driver and watching them just smile because you acknowledge them. Hello and welcome. Today what we're going to talk about is empowering kids, especially in these times today. So my name is Josée Lindsay, and years ago I wrote a book for kids for that, to empower kids. I was going through an awakening 16, 17 years ago, and I was going through a lot of the things I've talked about it on my channel, spirituality, and I was going through self-development and a lot of those concepts. And my kids were being bullied at the time and going through a lot of negative things, and I was looking for resources to help them through what they were going through, because they would come back crying, especially my eldest when he was in grade 4 and changing schools, and he was having a real hard time. So I was looking for books for kids to help them explain some of the concepts I was going through, like loving yourself, self-acceptance, positive thinking, maybe even some spirituality, we are all one, things like that, but how to explain it to kids. And I found really bad resources. They were either adult things just said in simpler language with no pictures, and it was awful, or really corny books. So what I ended up doing 15 years ago now is I wrote a book. It was called Super Spark. And I had 2 boys at the time. And what I had done is taken concepts of a little bit of spirituality and self-development, and I put it together with superheroes in a way that I could explain it to kids. And I had done resources at the time. Now I have an ebook, and I did meditations for kids, and I did videos talking to kids directly about how to love themselves, how to be kind, and that their mind is like a garden. But I realize now that I haven't done any resources for parents, because it's not really the kids that are going to go find that themselves. It's often the parents. So you're probably like me. You're going through, or maybe you've already been through some kind of awakening. You're discovering concepts of self-discovery, self-development. And just like me, trying to find words to describe it to kids can be difficult. And the times that we live today, it's like, how do we talk to our kids about what's going on, and how do we talk to them about how they can make a difference and empower themselves to look within and find the light within, and basically find your superhero within. So I'm going to talk about how I've explained it to kids. I might even show you a couple pages of the book, and I have on my other author page, I have resources for kids, and I will put that in the links below. It's actually meditations directly that speak to the kids for them on how to develop compassion and kindness, how to love themselves, and how to basically use their mind like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant in there, you'll get back. So basically how I've come to teach it to kids, and I used to also go to school assemblies years ago and teach this, is that they have a light. So the superhero I have is called Super Spark. And the idea is everybody's born with a light, and you can ignite that light. And once you've ignited that light, you shine it onto others. And one of the parts of the book, it's actually towards the end, but the most important part that I say is your biggest superpower is to be able to lift other people up. It's to shine your light and be kind to other people and lift them up. That's your biggest superpower. I've taken concepts of like energy, quantum physics, that the main power of the universe is love, and I've put it into concepts for kids to really understand, and they really understand that light, that you have to build the light, you have to love yourself, put positive thoughts, have an attitude of gratitude, make yourself happy where you're igniting that light, and then you shine it onto others. And I also explain to kids that it's we as a society, and sometimes kids are going to think of like, well, when is the government going to do something to stop that war? When is depends how old they are, the UN, or like, How are other people going to fix the world? Like, what do we do? And I always like to empower the kids to think that they can do it themselves because it's actually true. So I break it down, and you can use the language that you want. Again, I'm going to give you all the resources that you can go look at, the videos that I've done, and you can look at them yourself to see how to explain to kids, or you can literally show it to your kids. That's why I did it. Again, the links will be below. But the language that I use is, it's not really going to be an organization or anything outside of ourselves that are going to end the wars. You have the power to change the world every single day. And, you know, when people say like, oh, Mom or Josée, or like, what are you talking about? I'm like, one person and there's all these things going on. How is this really going to change the world? And what I say is, in 8 billion people plus in the world today, if we all were kind to the people that we met just that day, the world would change instantaneously, right? So it's all up to us, 8 billion of us in our little corners of the world, of whoever you meet that day, that's going to make the biggest difference. So I always ask kids, like in an assembly, if I'm talking to a group of kids, like, one of the questions to ask yourself, am I being kind? Just ask yourself that at any age. And sometimes kids are naturally kind, and sometimes they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And then they start thinking about it, and it's like daily actions. When you wake up, how do you treat your mom? How do you treat your sibling? How do you treat your bus driver, right? So as a parent or caretaker, grandparent, aunt, or whatever, if you've got kids that you're taking care of, it's bringing an awareness of that what their actions are doing every day is actually what's going to help out the world the most, because it's not just them again, it's all their classmates. So if you want to bring it down in a smaller, before you go to the world, you can say, like, if everybody in the house started waking up with a goal of being nice to everybody in the house, how much would the house change? So mom, dad, whoever's in the house, how do you talk to each other? How do you dress each other? Can you do something kind? Can you go help out at dinner? Little actions like that. When you leave the house, if they're like, well, I barely do anything, it's like, well, you go on the bus. How do you treat that bus driver? How do you treat the kids on the bus? How do you treat when you go to school? How do you treat the kids in the recess, in the schoolyard? How are you treating people in your class? What's your attitude when somebody's raising their hands and speaking? You know, are you supportive? Are you making fun of them? Are you doing some little whispers? At lunch, you know, I've made all these videos talking to kids. You know, if I say, like, if somebody's eating what seems to be like a weird lunch because they have another culture, just ask questions about it, like, oh, that's interesting, what are you eating, sort of thing. So we go through just like acts of kindness, but that's how I bring it down to their world. And then we go on the outside. So once you've explained, like, it's the little actions that you're going to do. And what if every other kid in the world was doing that? Then what if all the other adults in the world were doing that? What if when you woke up, your main job, on top of going to school or when they're later and they're going to work, your main goal, job, was to be kind just to the people you met that day? Okay? How much would the world change? And then they're like, whoa, it always hits them. In an assembly, hundreds of kids are like, whoa, it hits them how much power that they have. So I remind kids all the time, within you, you have the power to, you know, shine your light beam. So is this super spark, and this is like, picture a light beam, just like a superhero, right? You can shine that as little, as narrow, or as big as you want. And you have the power within you to lift somebody up, to make somebody feel better by your smile, by talking to them at lunch, by sharing a snack because they didn't have anything to eat, by the micro little, you know, talking to your bus driver and watching them just smile because you acknowledge them. Just like that. So I start off with the simplest things, and then like see how much this would be different on a world scale. And then they really start to get it. So you're empowering them to take responsibility for their own actions, and you want to do it while they're kids. And then as they're older, the language can change a little bit. But that's where I've gone and had a lot of success in explaining it that way. And I'll make actually maybe a couple other videos in this where it's teaching parents and kids on how to talk to kids in these times. And in the times today, I started with that one because that is the main one that is needed today. And that's where kids are bothered the most, because my theory is kids are born with compassion, love, into unity, harmony, and they don't know any different. And as they get older and see the news and they're taught to be separate, they move away from that. But when they see the news and they hear of war and things like that, kids get really, really, really bothered by it, because they're closer to who we really are. They're closer to oneness, and it completely clashes with what they feel inside, but they don't have any language for it. So when they're feeling really awful that these world events are happening, you can sometimes talk to them. The reason it feels so off to you is because you're in tune. You understand that we're all one, and it's really important to treat each other with love. And the fact that they don't feel good is actually a really good thing. You can talk to them about their feelings and being empathetic and having compassion for others, which is a really great thing. But everything that I just talked about, you're just getting them to use what's their natural abilities to actually use it, be aware of it, and spread it in their house, in their school, or whatever they're doing. So I wanted to start there, and I'll do a couple other topics because, like I said, the book, I went through a few things as you're awakening, as you're connecting more. These things will start helping you explain it to your kids. So I'm going to show you just a couple pages of what I'm talking about. So again, the book is called Super Spark. There's a link below. I think it's 7 something Canadian, and it's an ebook that you can put on an iPad. You don't have to purchase it. I will also give you links on the videos that are free on my other YouTube channel. So basically, this is the superhero. I say that he's learned some things from the universe, and then he's going to teach kids. But it's talking about dreaming big and following your bliss. It's talking about being kind to your reflection in the mirror. That's actually one of the videos I talk about on my YouTube channel, is how to love yourself. Here we're talking about thoughts, how plant seeds of good thoughts, pluck weeds of bad thoughts, how what you plant and put in your mind grows. So it's a field of dreams. Here we're talking about, I'll be happy when I do this, I'll be happy when I do this, and then ultimately I say, it's okay to look forward to something someday, just don't forget to enjoy today. So I actually talk about the present moment. I talk about everything you could possibly need is inside. And here's the page I wanted to talk about, and this is the page that I read in a video, how we're all one. Here's a couple lines. We're all on this planet together. The key to getting along despite the stormy weather is to realize that we are all one, and that love belongs to everyone. There is no such thing as an enemy, since we are all made of the same energy. And basically, I just say that we're all brothers and sisters, and to take care, the reflection of each other. In here, I talk about that life is full of wonder and possibilities. It's up to you to see the opportunities. And then basically I say that there's a really important superhero. The superhero is you. And then I talk about joy, peace, and love, and send them on their path that they can make a real difference in the world. And then at the very end of the book, you click on a link, and it takes you to all of the meditations that are on that YouTube link that I talked about. So you have, this is free. There's no extra purchase. This is already on the YouTube channel. There's a self-acceptance meditation, a compassion and kindness meditation, a meditation to chill and be, which is be in the present moment, and then a meditation for sleep, because when kids are going through things and the things are going on in the world, I did this for my son that was being bullied they have a hard time sleeping and letting go of their thoughts. So that's the PDF, and it's linked directly to these meditations within the book. And again, if you want me to talk to your kids without even purchasing the book, I read one page each and I explain the concept directly to children. Those links will be below. I do 3 of them. I do one on how to love yourself, one how the mind is a garden, talking about planting seeds of positive thoughts, and the other one is to be kind and you can change the world. So if you want me to address the kids directly, because I know sometimes kids don't necessarily listen to parents. So I wanted to give you the free resources. I wanted to give you some language about how to talk to your kids. And I'm going to do maybe a couple more videos for parents, teachers, and caretakers, because it's a process. Like in the world, we're changing as adults and dealing with the world as it is, with some, let's say, distortions of truth and love. Those distortions are going to be coming to an end pretty soon, but we're certainly dealing with them now. So it's an adjustment for us, and as you're awakening and figuring out these concepts and still living your life, and then it's that extra component of how to talk to your kids. So if I can help you with that and give you any tips and tricks and what I've learned, because I spent years doing it, researching it. In that book, I do, a concept per page, but each page that I write about a concept of self-development, it's hundreds of pages of books that I've read. So I've tried to simplify everything. So I hope these tools help you when talking to your kids, especially at these times. I find that also just an added a little bit of information, if you can get kids away from their devices. I know it's difficult. And also bring them into nature. Nature will help disconnect from that constant dopamine hit. And as you're going through these concepts and you're going through nature, you can just tell kids, listen to the leaves in the trees, listen to the breeze, see if you can see the sunlight coming through the leaves and the canopy. Look for sticks, look for leaves, look for rocks. Get them connected back to nature. And even if you're in the city, go just even where there's a little bit of trees, get kids to put their feet right on the grass and see if they feel any more relaxed. It's grounding, right? So you can just introduce these little concepts. They don't need to know this, but basically they're grounding from the earth, and they can discharge a lot of extra energy that they have and take energy from the earth. But also when you're in nature with them, they are absorbing the frequency of nature, which is at a much higher frequency, much higher energy, without even using any words, and using those simple things like, oh, look at the rays, let's look for sticks. And just getting them without using any crazy language to just be in nature, you're lifting their vibration. So that nature will help a lot. And like a little meditation at night, even without purchasing the book, you can go get the meditations there in the link. So I have this YouTube channel, which is for adults. It's called Heartful. And the other one is just my name. It's Josée Lindsay, link below. And that's more the author. I didn't want kids and adults coming to the same page because it's a little bit confusing. So when they go to the other page, it's all for them. So they're not getting videos that are confusing, or concepts of like quantum entanglement and consciousness. And they're like, what are you talking about? So I hope this is helpful. I will make a couple more videos of the things of the Super Spark journey and what I've learned and how to teach it to kids. My name is Josée Lindsay. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste. Much love.